overcoming poverty, burning off stress, paying attention with ADHD, building a career, beating a painful genetic disorder. After 13 years of helping others do the same, fitness became a foundation for my life's greatest gift and challenge, becoming a father. My name's Alex Van Houten, and I believe that what I eat, how I move, and what habits I live by are the rock upon which I build my physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being. And whatever I do will rub off on my kids and my community. Welcome to Defining Dad Bod, where we work to untangle the messy knots of the health and fitness industry as if your children's lives depended on it. Because they do. This is where we decide to make our bodies stand for something bigger than ourselves. This is where we find practical wisdom to live by, one powerful conversation at a time. May the words spoken here inspire you to keep moving forward no matter where you are. Who knows who you could be if you could become 1% better every single day.
We can do the show thanks to the support of listeners just like you. For more information how you can become part of the inner circle, go to findingdadbod.com/inner circle. That's findingdadbod.com/inner circle.
What's up, guys? This is Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. I hope you're doing so well. Oh, snap. This episode of Defining Dad Bod is gonna ruffle some feathers. Get excited. Or not so excited if you're the kind of person whose feathers might be ruffled. This is an episode that has been bouncing around in my head for years, and I finally was able to sit down, bullet point it out, and talk about it intelligently. That being said, it's been about 2 weeks since I recorded this episode, and as I was mowing the lawn this afternoon, I re-listened to this episode before starting to record this introduction to it, and I've already got at least another 15 minutes worth of addendums to add, so let's just see how this first iteration of soapboxing goes for you. I will say that whether you're a consumer of the health and fitness industry, that would be a person who regularly goes to work out at the gym, maybe you've hired a personal trainer, maybe you regularly watch YouTube videos and consume exercise programs and supplements and that sort of stuff, or if you're a practitioner in the health and fitness industry, which I would actually say both encompasses people like personal trainers and also nutritionists, dietitians, chiropractors, and yes, even doctors. Or lastly, you're an outsider of the health and fitness industry, and you're thinking about health and fitness goals right now, and you'd like to perhaps jump into some of the things that are going on, but you're not quite sure yet. No matter who you are, I hope that this episode has something in it for you as I walk through not only my own personal experience in the last 13 years in the health and fitness industry, but also some larger industry trends when we talk about where the money comes from, how businesses actually grow, and who's ultimately responsible for your results when you decide to pursue your health and fitness goals. I hope this episode has you asking questions like, how can I help build a world that I would love for my kids to be a part of? And how can I become my best self while I'm doing that? And if this episode speaks personally to you, I encourage you to 1, share it with friends and family who you think would find this interesting and get something powerful out of it. 2, consider subscribing to our newsletter that puts out weekly updates for the show at Defining Dad Bod. The link for that's in the show notes below. And lastly, consider writing us a review, either on Facebook or iTunes. This review comes from Serge on iTunes. Blowing my mind. As a college athlete and fairly active dad, I thought I understood the ins and outs of what it takes to be fit, work out, and make healthy choices. Alex and the Dad Bod podcast have completely opened and then blown my mind with how vast the world of health and fitness can be. But the best part, though, is that it's deep, thorough, and has actionable steps that I can implement now to live my best life for myself and my family. What are you doing still reading this? Click subscribe and start listening. Thanks for that, Serge. If you're hearing my voice now, shoot me an email at coachal@definingdadbod.com with your address so that I can send you a decal. As always, thanks for listening to Defining Dad Bod and helping us to leave a legacy of health and fitness for our kids. Without further ado, 6 things that are going terribly wrong in the health and fitness industry. What's up, guys? This is Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. I hope you're doing super well. Today's show is going to be a tough show for me to talk about because today we're going to talk about the top 6 terrible things going on in the fitness industry right now. It's a difficult topic for me because I have a deep love and passion for the health and fitness industry. Having been in this business for over 13 years myself, it's kind of like taking a big, vicious, nasty bite out of the hand that feeds me. And another reason this will be difficult to talk about is I'm not a person who likes to focus on problems without presenting some sort of solution. And so I'll do my best in this show to give you, the listener, an actionable or practical thing that you can be doing to 1, protect yourself from these maladies, and 2, to stop contributing to the problem yourself. So let's dive right in. These are in no particular order, but I think that you'll find that each one of them is deeply impactful to the future of the health and fitness of not only our culture, but the culture of our children as well. My goal is that by informing the Defining Dad Bod audience here, and perhaps motivating you to share this with your friends and family, that we'll stop falling for this garbage and perhaps foster a much better health and fitness industry. Food companies that are interested in feeding you things that are healthy for you, not just getting the next dollar out of your mindless food addictions. Doctors who might default to nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle change over pharmaceutical fixes. And health and fitness industry consumers who will stop looking for that next magic bullet fad diet and become more likely to look at the long-term view of health and fitness programming rather than signing up for these 6 to 8 week programs that really won't get you or your family anywhere. But let me not get on the soapbox just yet. Let's start with number 1. The first major problem in the health and fitness industry is real estate companies that masquerade as fitness institutions. Are you a member of a gym or a fitness club? Is it actually a gym or fitness club? Or instead of being interested in your actual health and fitness results, is it actually more like an apartment complex that is interested in increasing its rent revenue in order to pay for its mortgage while it collects on the increased value of its property investment? I know, saying it out loud sounds very complicated, so let me give you an example of how this actually looks in real life from my personal experience. As some of you might know, I spent 8 of my 13 years in the fitness industry working for a company called Lifetime Fitness. Lifetime Fitness is a luxury gym chain that started near Minneapolis, Minnesota. At the time of this recording, the gym chain has grown to over 120 locations in the US and Canada combined. And up until around 2014, Lifetime Fitness was publicly traded as a health and fitness company. Now personally, I started working for Lifetime Fitness shortly after finishing my undergraduate degree at Vanderbilt in 2010. And I found it an amazing place to both establish a career as a personal trainer, complete with 401k benefits and medical insurance, and to grow in my education. At the time, Lifetime Fitness was working to bridge the gap between traditional medical knowledge and the health and fitness industry. They were the first gym that I knew of to ban soft drinks from their cafe and to remove artificial sweeteners and trans fats from their menu. That might sound like a silly thing, but having worked at Gold's Gym in the past, with honey buns in the vending machine right beside the treadmill, this forward-thinking and bridge-the-gap mindset at Lifetime Fitness was a really powerful thing. While I was there, they pioneered a program called My Health Score. It was the first fitness facility in the nation to actually start doing Calais Tech testing at the gym level. You could come in for your fitness assessment, get a body composition analysis, and then do a fasting blood glucose, HDL, and LDL cholesterol check right there in the gym. And here's the kicker, it was all included in the initial package that came with your membership. The CEO was quoted at the time as saying, "This is the right thing to do for people." However, something changed in 2014. A private equity firm called Leonard Green and Partners put $2.8 billion into Lifetime Fitness to bring it from a publicly traded company to a private equity company. And they bought out Lifetime Fitness at $72 a share. And a lot of people were happy about this deal because before then, their stock had been valued at much less than $72 a share. I remember as an employee, I had 2 questions. 1, how's this going to change my day-to-day operations? And 2, where the heck did they get all this money? It turns out the first question was really important because even though upper management told us this would not change our day-to-day operations, I saw a steady decline in the company's interest in the service delivered to my clientele, while prices continued to increase over those 3 years, while also seeing that it wasn't so important where they got all this money, but why they got all this money. You see, before this, Lifetime Fitness was valued publicly as a health and fitness business. How might you value a health and fitness business? Well, how about on the reputation of the company's ability to deliver an amazing service and help people achieve health and fitness results? Also, the number of clients and the demographic of those clients was a really important part of valuing the company. But one of the things that I found out running in the circles of upper management was that much of the money put down to purchase the company was more about purchasing the real estate of the company. If you haven't been to a Lifetime Fitness, they're a very impressive facility. I remember when I first walked in, having been somewhat of a gym rat myself, I was greeted at the front desk by a smiling person with a headset on, marble countertops everywhere. To the left was an impressive-looking cafe, to the right was a spa, and straight in front of me I could see indoor pool facilities as far as the eye could see. When I looked up, I saw hundreds of people doing cardiovascular exercise on the second level, and in my trainer brain I asked myself, where the heck are the weights, man? It turns out that these extremely large buildings were placed strategically due to an algorithm that assessed for upper-level demographics in the area to see if we built this really expensive gym here, will the number of high-end clientele pay for the mortgage? And it turns out that that was a very expansive and good business model. But because Lifetime was publicly traded as a health and fitness company, many of the initiatives within the walls of the company itself were geared toward doing the right thing in terms of health and fitness for the actual people who went there. But upon the transition from public to private, there was much less talk about the health and fitness of the people we were working with, and much more talk about how to sell more, how to get more members, how to expand our membership outside of the walls of the company, and most importantly, how to build more facilities as quickly as possible. You see, private equity firms in real estate don't invest in real estate unless they're interested in growing the value of that real estate. The faster the better. And I'm no economist, but understanding the bubble that was created in 2008 versus another bubble that might exist in the near future, it was my experience as an employee that the company became far more interested in getting more and more people to sign up for their memberships and streamlining their ability to build bigger and better gyms in higher demographic neighborhoods so that they could continue to grow the real estate of the gym itself. Not to demonize Lifetime Fitness. They've got a great business model, and a lot of their clients and customers really love working out there. I can't argue. It's a great place to be. Energetic, well-lit, great sound, and if you can look past the incessant in-club advertising for things like testosterone replacement therapy and high-end watches, it really isn't a bad place to spend a day. But the reason that I'm talking about this with you is that it's important to me that people are informed that when they join gym chains, like Lifetime Fitness, Planet Fitness, Orange Theory, 24 Hour Fitness, Gold's Gym, and many others, that these gym chains are not health and fitness companies interested in your results as a client. They are real estate companies, interested in amassing as many renters as possible to earn a profit despite their mortgage payment. Their profits don't depend on whether or not you lose weight today. Their product success are not measured by the results of your increased performance or improved health. The companies exist and expand because you keep paying for your monthly membership, and you might recommend the membership atmosphere to your friends and family. It's really important to me that you know this, because as a personal trainer, I see my profit margin and my increased expansion of my business as contingent upon my clients' achievement of results themselves. When somebody comes to me because they would like to lose weight, or run their marathon better, or get out of back pain, then whether or not they keep paying me for my service has everything to do with whether or not they see results from my programs. If it turns out that I can't help you, then I'll be the first one to admit that we didn't achieve the results that you wanted to see, and that's probably best that we stop wasting both of our time and money. In a real estate business, that's not the case. Unless you are actively destroying the place that you're renting, then landlords are very happy for you to continue paying day in and day out for the rental of their space. A landlord's not interested in whether or not your life's getting better. They're not even interested if you achieve the goals that you originally joined to achieve in the first place. Frankly, that's not a landlord's problem. And the reason this matters from me to you is that I've worked with many clients in the past who trusted their fitness company to direct their health and fitness goals and to help them achieve results. They bought the supplements they were told to buy. They purchased the assessments that they were promised would make a difference in their health and fitness. And I've even seen them pay exorbitant amounts for services like personal training or private group coaching sessions, having body composition goals, but never getting measured for body composition since they started training to begin with. And even more frustrating from a trainer's perspective is that the vast majority of the dollars spent by clients to achieve results do not actually even go to the trainer themselves. What my clients didn't know about working with me while I worked at a large corporate gym chain that was a real estate place rather than a health and fitness company was that nearly 60% of the revenue that I generated actually went toward the upkeep and the overhead of the giant building and corporation itself, rather than directly incentivizing me to help my clients via my own paycheck and benefits. And so now personally, operating as a health and fitness company myself, I can personally charge about 75% less while maintaining high standards of excellence in my training and helping clients achieve better and more efficient results. So my advice to you, if it's news that most gym chains are actually real estate companies and not fitness companies, is ask yourself every time you're asked to spend more money there, is the increased rent getting you better results? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then it might be time for you to shop around elsewhere for help with your actual health and fitness goals. And to anyone listening who might be practicing in a real estate-based fitness company, is learn everything you can in those high resource spaces so that there's a time in your career where you can use many less resources to help people achieve better results. So that's major problem number 1 in the health and fitness industry. That is, real estate companies masquerading as fitness institutions. The second major problem in the health and fitness industry is much easier to explain and much more likely to be in your face than anything else. And that is social media influencers bought by supplement companies. Now, if you've been following Defining Dad Bod for a bit, you know that I am not anti-supplement by any means, but I'm also riding that line between anti-supplement and supplement crazy. If you want more information on my foundational philosophy around supplementation to achieve your health and fitness goals, you'll find a practical, scientifically based show in episode 8, titled Everything You Need to Know About Supplements. I'll put the link in the description below. But what about these social media influencers with 5 million, 6 million, sometimes 10 million followers? You know the ones I'm talking about. You go on Instagram, and there's always pictures or videos of them working out, or lounging at the beach, or showing off their six-pack abs, or wearing way too little around their derriere. Seriously, I wonder regularly how many different ways there might be to take pictures of your own butt. But I try not to let it keep me up at night. And so you can find these influencers, you can click on their actual website, and inevitably their Instagram link brings you to some sort of shop where you can buy some protein powder, or some fat-burning pill, or otherwise miracle powder that you should add to your water every day. And the message, both subconscious and loud and clear, is you too can look like me, if only you would take this supplement every day. The most frustrating aspect of this, from a trainer's point of view, is that it encourages two things. 1. It encourages the consumption of likely low quality and poorly studied effects of supplements that people hope will work well for them. Why are these supplements likely to be low quality? Well, consider that perhaps they spend millions of dollars marketing with influencers purchased by that company, instead of spending those millions of dollars on third-party testing, pharmaceutical-grade research, and a higher quality product. It's very few and far between that I see pharmaceutical-grade companies, like Thorne Research or Douglas Labs, commissioning young women to do deadlifts while they video their rear end at the same time. And that's because companies like Douglas Labs and Thorne Research have spent that extra money investing in their process to source and create better quality nutrition products. The second thing that drives me bonkers about this problem in the health and fitness industry is that it continues to foster a very shallow understanding of what health and fitness actually is. In fact, this problem in the fitness industry is one of the reasons that I'm so thankful for what we're doing here at Defining Dad Bod and your readiness to support what it is that we're doing. Though I've been known to affiliate with a product or two from time to time, I've never accepted payment or sponsorship to proliferate a particular message. Since the vast majority of our funding here at Defining Dad Bod comes from listeners just like you as a part of the inner circle, I, as your host, can stay true to the scientific evidence and the experiential case studies from my 13 years of fitness experience. When I reach out to my guests to interview them, they're at liberty to talk about what they're passionate about, and we don't have an agenda to revolve around some particular product so that maybe you'll buy it from us. And this was the gamble that I took when I started Defining Dad Bod. I had the opportunity to be backed by multiple supplement companies, and I still reject messages weekly because it's important to me that whether it's implicit or explicit, that whatever vision of health and fitness you hear here is not influenced or manipulated through some lens that's interested in getting you to buy some supplement. Sure, we have some products and some companies that we're big fans of around here, but that's because of the quality and repeatability of results, not because of some paycheck they're sending me in the mail. And so for you as a listener, be wary of the vision of health and fitness that's being projected to you, and ask yourself, who's paying the bills here? Is it a protein powder that doesn't care whether or not you're comparing yourself to some physique model who isn't even a certified personal trainer? Or is it a well-thought-out discourse with scientific citations that's publicly funded by an audience who's committed to leaving a legacy of health and fitness for our kids? I know where I'm spending my time and energy, and I hope you'll join me in that. And that call to personal responsibility brings me to number 3 in the problems of the health and fitness industry, and that is automatically taking whatever your doctor prescribes and automatically eating whatever the food industry puts on the shelf. So recently in the Van Houten household, we had a little bit of a family scare. A family member who is near and dear to all of our hearts got sick and ended up in the hospital. I'm not going to name names, and I'm not going to give any of the details of the particular visit because, obviously, that's medical information that I'm sure they wouldn't want me sharing with the world. But to make a long story very short, this particular family member was experiencing a plethora of side effects from medications that they'd recently been put on. And when I say they've recently been put on, I mean to say that they've done what most people in the Western world do when they go to the doctor. They come with a potentially complicated problem. The doctor prescribes multiple medications that might help that problem over time. And like a good patient, they go fill the prescription and start taking the medication as prescribed. Or at least that's the way it works in the ideal world. Sometimes they don't even take it as prescribed. But that's neither here nor there. What's missing from that process flow of activity? And more importantly, what the heck does that have to do with health and fitness? I'll tell you what's missing. It happened with our family member, and it happens with otherwise well-informed people every single day in the doctor's office. And that is, we fail to ask the questions about how our medications might be affecting us and what's actually in them. Furthermore, it's not just a problem with medications. It's also a problem with the food that we eat. In the past 13 years of working with people in the health and fitness industry, I have simply been amazed at how often I, as a lowly personal trainer, have to inform my clients of possible side effects of the medications that they're taking. P.S. to anybody listening, that's not my job. That should be your job as the consumer of the medication to investigate the medication, or at the very least, your doctor's job to inform you of possible side effects of the medications. Similarly, I, as a personal trainer, have also had to show my clients what's actually in their food by bringing their food to our personal training sessions and showing them the ingredients label. I'll give you an example. A client recently reached out to me who had lost a lot of weight over a period of time. And he reached out and he said, "Alex, help me. I don't know what's going on, but I keep gaining weight and I'm not sure what the problem is." So I got him on the phone and I talked to him, and sure enough, he'd gained about 13 pounds in the last 2 weeks and he didn't know what was going on. For somebody who's lost over 100 pounds, this is a really powerful and scary thing to go through. And on the other end of the phone, I could hear the desperation in his voice. "I've increased my cardio, I'm really counting my calories and tracking my food, and I just can't figure out how I've gained 13 pounds. So I asked a really simple question. "Hey man, have you started any new medications in the last 3 weeks? And he said, "Well, yeah, funny you should ask. I actually started an antidepressant medication, and my allergies have really been acting up, and so I started this new allergy medication as well." So I asked him to spell the actual medication for me so I could Google it with him. And with him on the phone, I scrolled through both medications and said, did you see with your allergy medication that water retention is a possible side effect? And did you see with your antidepressant medication that weight gain is a possible side effect? And he said, "Well, no." And I said, "Did your doctor talk you through these side effects?" And he said, "Well, no." And then he said, "Alex, I'm going to stop these right away. I can't gain 13 pounds. And I said, whoa, buddy. First of all, I can't recommend you stop this stuff. It's your body, you do what you want. Second of all, my recommendation is that you contact your doctor who prescribed these medications. Talk through your concern with the side effects and see if, one, perhaps there's a lower dose that you could be taking, or two, there's an alternative medication that could get you the same results without the weight gaining side effect or the water retention. The last thing I told my client is that many medications are intended to be a temporary fix for a temporary problem, and that it's important to have a discussion with your doctor about how long you intend to be on these medications. So if you do have to endure side effects and you choose to do so as a patient, then you can at least be informed about how long these side effects might last. And then you can manage both your and your family's and community's expectations of such side effects, if you care to share them. What's doubly interesting to me is that this same client and I had a conversation about his vanilla Greek yogurt when we first started training together. It was 4 years ago, but I can remember like it was yesterday. He brought his food journal to me in our very first session, and I looked it over while he was nervously standing there thinking, man, this trainer's about to rip my food journal to shreds. And I looked up from the food journal. I said, man, you did a really good job. Great work tracking your food. And he goes, well, should I change anything? And I said, you know what? One of these things is really glaring at me. And he gets ready for the punch. And I said, how long have you been eating vanilla Greek yogurt multiple times a day? He goes, oh, I love that stuff. It's really high in protein. I even get the fat-free stuff. I've been eating that multiple times a day for at least the last few months. And so I looked up from his food journal and I said, man, I'm going to need you to stop that. And he said, why? I thought Greek yogurt was really high in protein. Sure it is, I told him. But let me show you something. So I Googled Yoplait vanilla Greek yogurt on my phone and showed him the ingredients label. Yes, it had 12 grams of protein per serving, but it also had 17 grams of sugar per serving. And for an obese individual who's wrestling with insulin resistance and trying desperately to lose the fat that he'd accumulated over the past 10 years, sugar was one of his biggest enemies, even when paired with 12 grams of protein. And just like with the medications that he was taking blindly, my client had been eating his food blindly as well. This problem in the health and fitness industry, that is, taking our medications without asking questions and eating our food without checking the food labels, is just as much a problem with the professionals in the health and fitness industry as it is with the individual. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, statistically there's a probability that you are not a doctor. So I'm not advocating that somehow you'll know better than your medical professional how certain medications should be interacting with you. However, what I am saying to you as a responsible individual is just like checking the food labels on your food and having an intelligent discussion with your nutritionist, perhaps, before deciding to make certain foods a part of your daily regimen. You should also have difficult conversations with your doctors about the medications that they're asking you to go on. At least ask, what are the side effects of this medication? How will I know it's working? How will I know it's not working for me? And how long do you expect that I should be taking this medication in order to see great results and eventually wean off this medication? I know what you're thinking. Getting a little neurotic, aren't you, in your old age, Alex? You know, that might just be the case. But once you've seen multiple family members hospitalized because of the side effects of their medications, and while laying in their hospital bed somehow feel like it's a fault of themselves or their bodies, not even questioning the connection with the things that they've been putting in their face for multiple months, you start to get a little more careful about what you put in your body, and you work hard to teach others to do the same. So ask questions, check food labels, and pay close attention to what you're putting in your body. They say you are what you eat. And strangely, since our cells turn over every 7 years or so, that really actually becomes true, by the way. But if you're going to become anything, then I hope you'll become a carefully put together individual because of the questions you've asked about what you're putting in your face. One final note on this topic is just to draw your attention to how food companies and pharmaceutical companies make profits. Imagine you're in the chip aisle and you walk by a bag of Cooler Ranch Doritos. I remember those from my childhood. I think there's a certain level of MSG that probably just spikes something crazy in your emotional centers. But that's neither here nor there. You walk by the bag of chips and you pick them up. You bring them to your pool party. They taste good. Everybody seems to like them. And so next time you're in the grocery store, you grab another bag of Cooler Ranch Doritos. Maybe your kids start asking for them. Maybe you just get used to having them in the pantry. And before you know it, they're on your weekly grocery list. My question to you is, how does the company that produces Doritos make a profit? Do they make a profit when you become more healthy? When your love handles start to fade away and you feel more energetic? 50 becomes the new 25 and it's easier to keep up with your grandkids. Nope. Doritos, just like every food product created by the food companies, turn a profit when you come back and buy more Doritos. And thus what's proliferated on our grocery store shelves are not foods that are good for us primarily. They're foods that are driven by what we think tastes good, what other people enjoy eating, and how easy it is to keep coming back for more. I'm not demonizing the company here. After all, it's just business. But it's important for you as a consumer to understand that there's a huge amount of money riding on your decision to continue to buy a product. So much so that many food companies pour millions of dollars every single year into making their foods more palatable, better tasting, and cheaper to stock so that the profit margin doesn't decrease. I could do an entire show on how this affects the food that you're eating, and perhaps I should in the future. But hopefully being aware as a consumer that the food we eat and the prescriptions that we take are produced by companies that aren't in the least bit interested with you being the best version of themselves. In fact, they turn a profit when you continue to consume their product without asking questions and without searching for an alternative. And here's the kicker. We vote with every dollar we spend. So the companies that produce Doritos or antidepressants that cause weight gain increase in size and continue to produce those products as a result of everybody buying them. And when I look at the future for my children, I'm often challenged to vote more responsibly with the dollars that I spend, both in the pharmaceutical industry and every week when we go grocery shopping. And that's what we call around here food for thought, #dad jokes. So that was problem number 3 in the health and fitness industry, taking whatever your doctor prescribes and whatever the food industry puts on the shelf. Let's move then to problem number 4, which is the idea of exercising to burn calories. The current prevailing theory of the obesity epidemic is that we're obese because we eat too much and exercise too little. In my opinion, that's a terrible summary of the research, but many people, companies, medical professionals, and even trainers have latched onto this idea full tilt, picturing people simply as bathtubs. If somehow we can get more water to come out of the bathtub than is flowing into the bathtub, then the water level will go down. Or it's all about calories in versus calories out. Now, just like the previous quip, I could probably do an entire show talking about all of the nuances and difficulties with the caloric theory of weight loss. Not that I would deign to argue against thermodynamics, but simply that it becomes more complicated than just the calories that we're eating and the calories that we're burning when we take into account genetic factors, behavioral factors, environmental factors, and socioeconomic factors. But pointing this problem out in the health and fitness industry at the moment is not about telling you how we're going to solve that problem entirely. But I do want to identify one piece of it that's destroying the health and fitness industry for many people. And that is the idea that exercise should be to burn the calories that you eat from your food. And that somehow if you could just exercise more, or exercise in a way that balances your intake, that not only will you have the perfect body composition, but you'll feel better, you'll be more healthy, and your clothes will fit better. There are 2 primary problems with this that I want to point out to you. The first primary problem is that exercise is actually a terrible way to burn calories. Wait, what? You heard me. Exercise just really doesn't burn that many calories. Recently, I put a Pinoe device on my face, which is a portable metabolic analyzer. I do some work with a company out of Greece who produces these products, and I work to instruct their coaches, and because of my background and experience, I coach their technicians to be better at metabolic assessment. As a case study, and perhaps because I'm a little more masochistic than most, I wore the analyzer through 100 burpees. If you're unfamiliar with burpees, I'm guessing you sleep under a rock or don't spend a lot of time in the gym, but it's basically a terrible exercise, both in subjective feeling and perhaps in functional training, where you start from a standing position, place your hands on the ground, jump back into a push-up position, perform a push-up, and then perform a frog jump. Repeat until either you throw up or give up. Well, I did 100 burpees. And 100 burpees takes me about 6.5 minutes, apparently. And with the Pinoe analyzer, I tracked my VO2, which allowed me to track my calorie burn during the exercise bout. And after the effort, I also tracked my recovery so that I could talk a little bit about the calories burned through my oxygen debt. Long story short, 100 burpees burned about 60 calories for me. 60 calories. You want to know what else has 60 calories in it? 1 graham cracker, 1/8 of a Cobb salad, 1/6 of a Big Mac, and 1 tablespoon of Nana's apple pie. 60 calories are small potatoes. And sure, I could have done an hour of burpees, but then I would have burned, 600 calories? Forget the idea of needing to walk the next day, because I really need to make sure that I burn off the food from that party, right? When I posted the results of this quick case study to my public forum for Defining Dad Bod, many people were crazy surprised and shocked that an exercise so brutal and so difficult only burned 60 calories per 100 reps. How are you ever going to lose the fat you'd like to lose if it takes so much exercise to burn those calories? Well, here's probably not the place to talk specifically about the philosophy of caloric deficits over time, but the short answer is exercise has a role to play in increasing your resting metabolism. It also has a role to play in increasing your metabolic flexibility, that is, your ability to burn fat as a fuel source rather than carbohydrates at rest. And so with those two effects together, one can actually create a decent caloric deficit over time, but it's not going to happen in one exercise bout. In short, I often tell my clients, the goal of our exercise is not to burn calories. The goal of our exercise is to create adaptations that change our body for the long haul. If we want to improve body composition, then we have to change the machinery that you're using currently that's not helping you with body composition. But the problem goes deeper, and that brings me to my second point. When we boil exercise down to simply a way to burn calories, we miss out on one of the fundamentally meaningful things that happen when we perform exercise, and that is the mastery, confidence, and yes, even bravery that's created when we bring about training adaptations. We do something that we never thought we could before and see ourselves successful in that thing. I've worked with a lot of people over time to help them lose weight. But when somebody finally does lose the 30 pounds or the 40 pounds or the 200 pounds and they stand on the scale and they look at the number, the smile on their face and the joy and the impact of that moment is nowhere near the same kind of joy and impact as when you take somebody who's never been able to do a pull-up before, and you train their muscles, and you train their mind, and after 8 weeks of struggling to do a pull-up, finally their face goes over the bar. Or you work with somebody who's never been able to run before. You train their muscles, you train their mind, you train their mobility, and soon they can jog, and soon they can jog a mile, and soon they can run 3 miles, and soon they're doing a 5K with their niece, and they cross the finish line, and now they're buying different running shoes and different running clothes, and feeling weird in the mornings when they don't get to get their morning run in, and their coworkers start commenting on how inspiring they are that they can do these things. Those moments where you cross the finish line or your face goes over the pull-up bar when you never thought you could do that, those moments impact you much more deeply on a psychological, and I would even argue spiritual level, than simply going to the gym to burn calories. And even though I don't know exactly how to explain what's happening in those moments, I can tell you that it's been my experience in my past 13 years of working with clients that the adaptation and training of exercise is far more important than the immediate fuel consumption and endorphin highs brought on by the individual session. No, it doesn't bother me when a client walks away from their session saying, "Man, I sweated so hard, I feel so good, that was a great workout, I'm sure I burned like 500 calories. Awesome. High five, client. But let me also point your attention toward the fact that you did 10 more kettlebell swings than you've ever done before at that weight, that you leg pressed today without your knees falling in on you, that you were finally able to kick up in your handstand without any pain in your neck, and that you didn't give up on me in that 7-minute AMRAP when things were really difficult for you." I find it kind of similar to the literature around teaching small children. All of psychology points toward the fact that we should praise our children for the hard work they did, rather than the result of that work. If Gabriel reads a book to me, I shouldn't pat him on the head and say, "Man, you're so smart. I'm so proud of you." Instead, if I want to set him up for lifelong success, then when my child does something noteworthy, he'll be much better off if I pat him on the head and I say, "Wow, that was great work. If you keep that up, God only knows where you'll be in several years." That same ethos needs to be in the health and fitness industry as well. Let's praise the right things in your workout program. Calories are just a measure of the energy you burn today, but they're by no means the most important measure of how you might have changed today. And if you must think of your workouts in terms of calories burned, I might ask you to consider working with a coach. I've found in my experience that it's the coach's job to worry about calories burned, while it's the client's job to be fully immersed in the process of self-betterment. And that brings us to problem number 5 in the health and fitness industry. And that is the 3 to 4 hours per day that we spend actively making our health and fitness worse. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And it's been my experience in working with clients that what they don't do is just as important as what we do. Haha, you said do. Sorry guys, that was just my inner Gabriel. I'll try not to let him out anymore this episode. You might be surprised to learn, or perhaps not, that in my work as a personal trainer, I have spent more time and energy helping clients stop doing the things that are shooting them in the foot, rather than actually working to motivate them to do the things that will help them change. I can spend 1 hour in the gym helping somebody through the most difficult workout they've ever been through. Turkish get-ups, deadlifts, box jumps, and then an interval run afterward. And it's a brutal effort. It can be difficult, it can be tiring, you're going to be sore the next day. It took a lot of mental focus from you to do this, and you wouldn't have done it without me standing over you the whole time. High five, client. But then that same client will go home, have a few too many glasses of wine, and stay up late watching the new Game of Thrones episode, so that they only get 5.5 hours of sleep, instead of getting the 7.5 or 8 hours of sleep required to recover from this brutal workout. And then work gets a little busy, so they don't get to do the foam rolling and stretching that I recommended in their recovery, and because they were scrolling through their social media while they brushed their teeth this morning, they forgot their multivitamin and their fish oil. And then, prioritizing a few other things in the week, found them without any groceries in the fridge or in the pantry. And so, they've been eating on the run for several days. And then after effectively spending 3 to 4 hours a day for the last few days shooting their health and fitness in the foot, they come to my session and they work really hard again, doing all the things they wouldn't do if I wasn't standing over them. Imagine both my and my client's frustration when 6 weeks later we check their body fat percentage and find that though they've changed a little bit, they haven't changed nearly as much as reflected in their hard work in the gym. So what do I do as a trainer? Sell them another session? Perhaps more exercise is the answer. Get more strict with their calorie intake. Perhaps we just need to decrease the amount of food they're eating in order to see the results we'd like to see. I know it sounds silly, but this is one of the primary problems in the health and fitness industry. And it's the practice of the average person to spend 3 to 4 hours a day actively sabotaging their health and fitness efforts. If we're working for change in the gym setting to adapt you to be a better version of yourself, but you are working just as hard outside of the gym to adapt yourself to a worse version of yourself, then forget calories in and calories out. What's going to happen is you're going to create a version of yourself that lives at both extremes. Before I knew enough as a trainer to coach these things behaviorally, I found that my most intense and toughest clients who would chase their goals with a crazy amount of passion, motivation, and even intensity would leave the gym and seem to actively chase the opposite of their goal with an equal amount of motivation and intensity. Now let me be clear, it's not like my client would come work really hard and then stop at McDonald's right after the workout. It was much more subtle than that. I would have a client exercise intensely for 10 hours a week, but then I would see them sit all day at work, skip their stretching and foam rolling, and then through an inhuman stubborn grit, go through their extremely long run on very little sleep the next day. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you have health and fitness goals that really matter to you, like being around for your grandkids, fitting into your skinny jeans, getting off a particular medication, performing in an obstacle course race, or getting poolside ready for the summer, my challenge to you is that while you look at the workout program that you should be doing and you execute the things that are good for you, that you also take a moment to identify all of the obstacles that you might face and all of the ways that you might sabotage your health and fitness goals. I would even argue that it's more important for you to stop spending 3 to 4 hours a day sabotaging yourself than it is to spend 1 to 2 hours a day actively working toward your goal. What's great about overcoming this problem in the health and fitness industry is that it's almost like cheating. You'll get better results than everybody else, but you'll do so with less effort. And maybe with the energy conserved, but your fitness goals achieved, you'll be able to put that time, that focus, and that effort into other meaningful things. Stop spending 3 to 4 hours per day actively making your own health and fitness worse. And problem number 6, the last awful thing about the health and fitness industry I'll talk about today, is assessments thinly disguised as sales pitches, thinly disguised as health and fitness assessments. If you've been around gym culture at all, you've no doubt experienced when a trainer does a body composition assessment on you, and either 1, doesn't tell you the results of your body fat percentage unless you buy sessions, Or 2, uses your current body fat percentage as a springboard to talk about how you need their services in order to change your life for the better. If you've never experienced this, count yourself lucky. But having worked with trainers in the past, and being a trainer myself, I have seen and am guilty of using assessments in order to help people make a decision about buying my services today. Here's the thing, I understand why we do it. I would do personal training for free if I didn't have to, as George Bush liked to say, put food on my family. But that's not the case. I have a business to run. And if my client list isn't full, I'm generally looking for fantastic people in whose lives I can make a significant difference. And one of those tools of acquisition is to offer assessments to people. And just like when you bring your car to get an oil change and the mechanic does a diagnostic test for you, there is no time in your life you are more likely to put money on fixing your car than when you find out that there's something wrong with it. The mechanic, as well as the fitness professional, knows that you're ready to jump from a pre-contemplation stage of behavior change to action when there's actually data to back up the decision. However, in my time as a personal trainer, I have found that the fear of being sold into some sort of health and fitness product has actually kept people from making the proactive and possibly life-changing decision to get real about their assessments. And so, since I've seen this to become a problem in the fitness industry, as well as something that deters people from taking positive steps toward getting real about their health and fitness and beginning to measure the progress toward their goals, for fear that they'll be sold something, I've done a number of things in my own business that allows me to simply do my assessments and then partner with people in working to get better results for themselves. Whether they purchase additional services is up to them, and I can certainly show them a menu of what I have to offer. But I'm vehemently opposed to the idea that getting an assessment done of some sort should be a thinly disguised sales opportunity. How this looks for us at Defining Dad Bod? Well, even in giving a free week trial to somebody who's interested in trying virtual coaching, I offer a free 30-minute consultation. But that 30-minute consultation doesn't happen until I ask you to do some self-assessment. What is your health and fitness heaven? What is your health and fitness hell? And when was the last time you were happy with your health and fitness? What obstacles have come up since then? And then I ask you to give me an idea of the things that you're struggling with, the equipment that you have to work with, and your preferred method of food journaling. And then, as part of your 1-week commitment, I give you a guide to self-assessing your health and fitness. The goal of this process is to remove the assessment process for your health and fitness goals from the decision-making process to hire me as your personal trainer. What's most important to me, and what I believe is most important to most people operating in the health and fitness space, although they haven't fashioned their business around this proposition, is that because you worked with me today, your life's going to be different, for the better, even if you don't spend any money. If I can ask you a question that changes the way you think about your health and fitness goals, or if I can help you get real about your body composition, your current VO2 max, or even just the way your clothes are fitting, and then make an impact on you by letting you try a week of coaching to see what an ideal week would look like for you, then my job's been done with very little skin off of my back. And then at that point, if you decide to work with me long term, that's fantastic. It was your decision, and you weren't tricked into buying personal training because you were interested in finding out something about yourself. I've learned, after years in personal training, that even if you can trick somebody into buying personal training sessions or purchasing a health and fitness program without their deep thought and personal consent within themselves to dive into the program headfirst, excited about the purchase, then you're not going to make any progress with them. You're going to waste their time and money, and you're going to waste your time as well. But nobody talks about that in the health and fitness industry, and so the problem proliferates. I can't speak for anybody else, but I can say that if you do an assessment with me, or you decide to do a 1-week trial with Defining Dad Bod, shameless plug, definingdadbod.com/trial. I'd love to have you. It's not a thinly disguised sales pitch, and I hope the success of Defining Dad Bod, not necessarily measured in terms of the profits of our company, but in the results and customer satisfaction of those who choose to hire us, can speak volumes to the rest of the health and fitness industry. And maybe more people will be ready to assess their own health and fitness and get real about the current state of their body in relation to their goals. It's also possible that I'm being a little too optimistic here, but I've spent a significant amount of time in this episode being pretty pessimistic, So a guy can dream about being balanced, can't he? And so there you have it, the 6 things that have gone terribly wrong in the health and fitness industry. And I hope I've also given you an idea about what we can do to fix it, not only as professionals and companies, but also as individual consumers of the health and fitness market. When I dream about the world of health and fitness in 20 to 30 years, I dream about a time when real estate companies stop masquerading as fitness institutions, that social media influencers are no longer bought by supplement companies, that people aren't scared of assessments because they see them as thinly disguised sales opportunities, that people start questioning the food and the pills that they put in their face because of the doctor's prescription or the food industry production, that people stop spending 3 to 4 hours a day actively shooting their health and fitness goals in the foot, and that exercise and movement are divorced from the idea of calorie burn so that they become pursuits of mastery, confidence, and bravery instead. My wife Kristen likes to say that it's a good thing we're married because I have my head in the clouds and she has her feet on the ground. But having your head in the clouds doesn't only make you a dreamer. You can also see quite a few problems from up here too. And if I've shined a light on those problems for you today and perhaps given you a way to start approaching the solutions, then I hope you'll share this with friends and family in your community who might also be interested and maybe need a light shown on how we can all make the health and fitness industry better. I like to think one man can make a difference, but this one's going to take a group effort. For my part, I'll keep fighting the good fight. This has been Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. Until next time, guys, kick butt, take names. The free practical advice and conversations here remain unbought and unbiased thanks to the support of listeners just like you. For more information on how you can become a part of the inner circle of Defining Dad Bod, go to definingdadbod.com/inner circle.